welcome back to the channel. It's another beautiful hot sunny day here in eastern North Carolina, and as you can see, I put the shade cloth up on the greenhouse there, and already the temperature is coming down. The thermometer was pretty much pegged at 120. It's down just to be like about 100 right now, a little above. I did wet down the floor of the greenhouse. That will help with the cooling. And there's a bit of a breeze, and I think we're about midday now-ish, now 2 o'clock. So the greenhouse should be going in shade in the next couple hours as the sun starts to move out towards the west and hits the tree line. And then, of course, the greenhouse will cool a lot more. I did say earlier in the year, once the greenhouse got put up, I did mention that I'll probably only be able to get a few months use out of the greenhouse. Hopefully next year, as long as there's no hurricanes or other natural disasters that takes down the greenhouse, heaven forbid, but it could happen. Anyways, so like next year I'd be able to go from theoretically January, February, March, April, which gives me about four months or so, maybe 5 months, depending upon how the weather is with May. Right now we're getting into summertime temperatures, mid to late May. I think there's going to be a peak next week of like 90 degrees at one point, so hot. Hence the reason the shade cloth had to go up, so I can maybe squeeze another week or two of use out of it. And if anything, I'd be able to keep certain plants in there. Definitely not the seedlings. The seedlings are going to have to probably start coming out soon. But there are plants in there that I'm just keeping out of the weather for now because they're still young. Let me show you what's on the back side. So you saw the one side in the video. Let me show you what's on the other side. Now over here you can see the shade cloth drapes right down to the ground, and that actually is semi-intentional. I do not need shade cloth on this side because it's the other side of the greenhouse that really gets all the sun. And I could pull more over there, but I don't want to put the entire greenhouse in the dark. I want some of it to be out there too. Gonna have to fix that. I want the sunlight to be able to come in to still hit some of the seedlings that still need sunlight, like the tomato plants. But this side, I got larger than I needed. So I got 12 by 16. I actually forgot the greenhouse is like 12.7, so there's a few inches off the back that's not covered, not a big deal. Again, by the time the sun gets over to that point, the greenhouse is in shade because of the tree line behind me. That tree line. So I'll be taking this actually, and again, this was somewhat part of the plan, and extending it out over to the fence post or the fence line. Let me show you. So I'll be stretching the shade cloth out over this way. Now I haven't already done it because of the degree and the slope, and I want to be able to get under there. So I'm going to get myself some poles to go up these poles to be able to raise that up. So eventually I'll be forming like a canopy. Oops, sorry about that. I'll be forming a shade canopy to then work underneath. Now eventually the potting bench, which right now is behind the garage, I'll be moving out underneath that shade canopy because the greenhouse and the vegetable garden has sort of become the focal point or the working point of the garden, if that makes any sense. So it's a little silly right now for me to be going from the potting bench all the way to the greenhouse and back and forth. It'd be so much more convenient if the potting bench was right here, where that bench is, to turn around and work in the shade, especially during the summertime, and be able to plant my plants and propagate and do whatever else I need to do on the potting bench. Store plants that need to be out of the bright sunlight. This bench, which is made out of scrap wood and some sawhorses, is a temporary thing. I may keep that, but maybe I'll get cheaper sawhorses to keep out here year round. Not sure yet at that point. This is all fly by seat of my pants, as it were. And I would put that also maybe underneath the shade cloth or just off to the side, or who knows, maybe where I'm standing right here or in front of the greenhouse. I've yet to figure things out. But the potting bench definitely is going to move over. This shade cloth is going to turn around and get fastened out again to act as a sail. Not as a sail. Act as a little shady area I can work underneath. I did secure down the one side, so I have to secure down this side because of the wind. BC Greenhouses does not sell anything custom made, probably for cost. They do sell shade cloth, but the shade cloth that they sell, well, they were out of stock of at the moment. So I turned around and I purchased this shade cloth from Greenhouse Megastore. I believe that's what the name of it is. Greenhouse Megastore. If I remember, I'll leave a link here or I'll leave a link below. But it was 12 by 16. It has the sides sewn, has the brass grommets in there. BC Greenhouse's instructions for putting a shade cloth on the greenhouse was somewhat vague, and it also involved putting a piece of 1x2 up top and stapling things to it, and it was a whole convoluted process. I'm going to take some of their suggestions in the thing, and I'm going to probably, for instance, they talked about putting 1 inch, or they didn't even say what size, they just said PVC piping to help hold down the shade cloth and keep it off of the poly, which is something I'm going to do. They didn't specify necessarily where it should go, how it should be laid out. It was a little vague, so I'm not thrilled with that, but I'm going to put it down at the end on the other side. I don't need it on this side unless I was just not going to do the whole shade thing, but I am going to do the shade thing. In fact, actually, I think I may have purchased now too much PVC piping, so maybe I can use some of that piping to do my poles that I'll be using to take the shade cloth up off. You'll see it when I do it. I'll show it to you, because I'm sure I'm not making any sense whatsoever. As always, if you have questions or comments, please leave them below. They also talked about cutting out the vents. I'm not sure about cutting out the vents at this point in time. I think I just may leave them. I know the corners will probably eventually tear the shade cloth, but I also may adjust the shade cloth more on the one side than the other side. I'm getting new at this, I'm figuring it out, and so I'm gonna not do anything sort of permanent yet until I kind of figure out exactly the way I want this set up, and so changes may occur. The sun is going behind some clouds right now. It is wonderful because it was pretty hot. That being said, I'm just going to fix this side. I'm going to fix the other side. I'll probably try to tack them down temporarily with... oh, by the way, I was using stakes in the ground. Probably like that long 12-inch rebar stakes that I had. Bought off of Amazon, and some paracord. And I was tying everything down. I'll do the same thing on this side. So in case you were wondering how I was fastening it all down. And that's about it. That's the shade cloth in the greenhouse. Like I said, the temperature is coming down. As soon as I started putting the shade cloth over the top of the greenhouse, you could hear the whole frame and the structure creaking, and not because of the weight of the shade cloth, because it weighs nothing, but because of the cooling effect. I'm taking that sun off of the metal and the plastic, which then starts to allow it to cool, which then means it contracts, and you get the whole thing. Science. That cloud is really awesome. I have to show you that cloud. Right there. Alright, so that's going to wrap it up for today. Hopefully a short video, if I cut out a lot of my prattling and ums and ahs. Shade cloth is on the greenhouse. The garden is growing. I'll be showing you that. I'll be doing a tour soon. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Click that bell icon to be notified when I do post a new video. This way you'll be able to follow along as the garden progresses, as the vegetable garden grows, as the flower garden grows. There's so much to see. And that's going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.